Hi, this is Dave from the Floodwood High School. Today we're going to do a little construction math, and I'm going to show you a little bit about the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And for what we need to know for construction, we need to know, simplify it down, a times a, which is a squared, plus b times b, which is b squared, and the answer that we need is we need the square root of c squared because we need to find out what c is. So we would use the Pythagorean theorem if we're trying to find this length here. We're wondering, what is this length? And to do that, we would use the Pythagorean theorem. Let's call this a. We'll call this b, and we'll call this c. So if we do the Pythagorean theorem, we go a squared, which is 12, squared, which means 12 times 12. That equals 144. And then we go b squared, which is 5, times 5 equals 25. Now we're going to add those two numbers together. So 144 plus 25, a squared plus b squared, that equals 169. Well, 169 is c squared. We need to find out what c is, so we need to find the square root of c. And I'm going to show you an easy way to find the square root of a number that has a whole number for the square root. Like the square root of 4 has a whole number of 2. The square root of 9 has a whole number of 3. So we need to find that length. I have written over here 1 through 9. 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared. And on the right hand side in a different color, I have the answers to that. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9. And now when I get into double digits, I have just the right number in a different color. And you'll see how we're going to use that in a minute. So I have out of the 16, I have the 6 in an orange color. Out of the 25, I have the 5, and so on. So we're going to see how you use that. So we have 169, and we need to find the square root of 169. So if you look at just the first number is a 9. If you look at that, and now look at our list over here, you'll see in the orange, you're going to use those numbers. Okay, where do we have a 9? Well, 3 squared, and we also have a 9 down here in 7 squared. So you're going to use, it's either going to be, your answer is either going to have a 3 or a 7 as the very last number on the right. And then we're going to cross out the first two numbers. Okay? So this will make sense as we go along. Now we have a 1 left. So we got to find out what times what is either the same or less than 1. Well, we know 1 times 1 is 1. So we know that that's going to be 1. And then we take the next number after 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we take 1 times the next number times 2. That equals 2. Okay? So our answer, we already know the far left number is 1. And we have an answer of 2 here. So for our number on the right, it's going to be one of these numbers, a 3 or a 7. If this number is greater than this number, or an easier way. If this number is less than this number, you'll use the smaller number. Since 1 is less than 2, you'll use the smaller number. So your answer is 13. 13 is the square root of 169. We can check that. 13 times 13, that's 9, 3, 3, 1, 169. So we know that this length is 13. So if we have a run of 12 feet, a rise of 5 feet, on this right angle, we now know, using the Pythagorean theorem, finding the square root, we know that this distance here is 13 feet. So that may seem like a bit much, and I'm going to do just a bunch of numbers here, and we'll go through that some more to try to get it to make sense until you have it. But I want you to write these numbers I have in the right-hand side. I want you to write this out on your paper and try to use a different color for those numbers. So you've got the 1, the 4, and the 9. Those are different color. When you get to a double-digit number, just use the number on the right-hand side. Leave that in a different color, because those are all the numbers that you're going to use. So now we have a number 576. We're going to see this. All we're looking at is the very first digit is a 6. We're going to come over to here and we're going to look to see where we have a 6. So we have a 6 at 4 squared and we have a 6 at 6 squared. So we're going to take these numbers, 4 and 6. So we know that our very first digit in the square root of this, it's either going to be a 4 or a 6. Now we're going to cross out these two numbers. Okay? So now we have a 5. What times what equals 5? Well, we don't have an exact number. We know that 3 times 3 is 9, so we can't use that. So 2 times 2 is 4, so we know that we can use 2. So 2 is going to be our very left digit. We're going to times that 2 by the next number in the line, which is 3. So we'll go 2 times 3, that equals 6. So our number is going to start out with a 2 on the left, and our very first digit is either a 4 or a 6. Remember I said, if this number is less than this number, then we'll use the smaller number here. So our answer is 24. 24, you can check it, times 24 is 16. Carry the 1, 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. We have 6. I missed one number. Oh, this has got to be a 9. 7, 576. I forgot to add my 1. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. So this is 9. 9 plus 8 is 17. Carry the 1. 4 plus 1 is 5. Our answer is 576. So let's do another number. This whiteboard doesn't erase very well. Let's do 1,849. Now remember, we're just looking at the first digit. We're looking at the 9. You may think that this is going to be 7, but it might not be because of the 49. You know that 7 times 7 is 49. But don't look at the first 2. Only look at the one number, the single digit. So we know that this is going to be, we look over here in the orange, wherever there's a 9, So there's a 3, there's a 9 here for 7. So the answer is either going to be a 3 or a 7. Our first digit on the right is either going to be a 3 or a 7. Now we cross out these two numbers. We're left with 18. Well, what times what is either the same or less than 18? We know that 5 times 5 is 25. So 25 is too much, so it must be less than that. 4 times 4 is 16. So we know that has to be it, so it's 4. So we know our answer is going to have a 4 in it as our left number. We're going to times this by the next number in line, times it by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That equals 20. And now we look, is this number greater or less than? 18 is less than 20, so we know our first digit is going to be the 3. Because we take, if this is less than this, then we take the smaller number here, so 43. So now we have 43, we square that, 43 times 43, just to check our work. We have 9, 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12, carry the 1. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17. We have 9, 4, 8, 1. 1,849. So that works. We'll do a few more here. Let's use a little bigger number, 3,364. We're doing the same process again. We're only looking at the first number, 4. Where do we see the 4 in orange? We see it here at the 2 and at the 8. So the 2 has a 4 and the 8 has a 4. So we know the first digit on the right is either going to be a 2 or it's going to be an 8. It's one of those. Then we cross out these first two numbers. Remember to cross out the first two numbers. So you're only looking at the first number, and then once you find it, you cross out the first two. And then we're looking at just 33. So what squared is either less than or equal to 33? Well, 6 times 6, 6 squared. 6 times 6 is 36, so it can't be 6. 5 squared, 5 times 5 is 25, so it has to be 5. Right? Now we're going to take this 5, we're going to multiply it times the next number, which would be 6. The next numerical number, which would be 6, and that equals 30. So we know our far left number in our answer is a 5. Look at these numbers. Is this number smaller or greater than? 33 is greater than 30, so that means we will use the larger number over here. So our answer is 58. Check our answer. 58. 8 times 8 is 64. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 6 is 46. 5 times 8 is 40, carry the 4. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 4 is 29. Our answer is 3,364. So we know the square root of it is 58. We'll do a couple more here. Wipe this off. Like I said, if you have this written out, these numbers written out on the right-hand side that I have here, that'll really help you if you color code them. Just the same way as I have on the board here, it'll really help you out. Here's an easy one. 2025. So 2025. I gotta drag the board a little bit. $2,025. Again, we are just looking at the first number. The first number is a 5. Look over here at the orange numbers. Do we see a 5? We see a 5 in only one location, and that's a 5. So that's what we're going to use. It's the only number it can be. We cross out those two numbers. Now we have to find a number that is the same or less than 20, the square root of a number. The last problem, we knew that 5 times 5 was 25. 5 squared is 25. That's too large. So we got to use 4 squared. 4 times 4 is 16. So we know that the first number is 4. If we times it by the next number in line, which is 5, that equals 20. Well, we know already, we didn't even have to do that because we knew our very first number was a 5, and we knew this number was a 4. So 45. So that one was really simple. You could get that just by looking at it. You could see, okay, we got a 5 here. I've only got one over there that has a 5, so we know that that has to be a 5. The only number that it can be, because it's the only number over here that we have. There's no other options. In the same way here, we come up with a 4, and that has to be it because there's nothing else to choose from. It has to be 45. We know that 5 was too much, so it can't be 55 because 5 times 5 is 25. That's larger than the 20, so it can't be 5. It has to be less than, but as close to less than as you can. You also could not have used 3 because 3 squared is 9, and 9 is too small. So it has to be the closest square root number that you can use that gets to that number. Okay, how another one here? We'll go 5,184. Remember, all the numbers I'm writing down, these have whole numbers for the square root. Next time we're going to go through a video and I'm going to show you a way to find the square root of a number that isn't a whole number. And we won't get an exact answer, but when you're on the job site and you need to find something that's relatively close, I'll show you a way in the next video of how to come up with that. So we have 5,184. Remember, we're only looking at the first number, the 4. Go over here onto all of our numbers we have. Look at the orange numbers. So I have an orange 4, so we know that one of the numbers is 2. And we have another 4 down here. Means the other number possibility is an 8. So we have 2 and 8. Now we're going to cross out the first 2 digits. So 84 is crossed out. Now we're left with 51. So we have to find a number that is close to 51. And we can look at this chart. We can see 8 squared, we've already got that figured out, is 64. That's larger than this, so we know it can't be 8. We see 7 squared is 49. So we know this number is going to be 7. Now we take 7 times the next number in line, the next numerical number, so that would be 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 times 8 equals 56. So we have this, 56 and 51. Remember, if this number is smaller than this number, we use the smaller number. Okay, so we have the 7 and the smaller number, 72. So 72 squared, to check our answer, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 7 is 14, 7 times 2 is 14, carry the 1, 7 times 7 is 49, plus 1 is 50, 5,184. 4 plus 4 is 8, 1 plus 0 is 1, and 5 plus 0 is 5. 5,184. So we know our answer is 72. Okay, we'll do 2 more. 1,444. Okay? Again, all we're looking at is the very first digit, is a 4. We come over here. We look at our orange numbers. We have a 4 with the 2. So we're going to write down the 2. Do we have any other 4s? We have one down here with the 8 squared. So that's our other option, is 8. So our very right digit to our answer is going to be either a 2 or an 8. We come back over this number, we cross out the first 2 digits, so we're not even looking at that anymore. We're left with 14. So now we need a number that is squared that is either equal to or less than 14. Well, 4 times 4, 4 squared is 16, so that's greater than 14, so we can't use that. So it must be the one down. 3 squared is 9. So we take the 3. We use the 3. Then we're going to times that by the next number in regular numerical numbering. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to multiply 3 times 4. That equals 12. Okay, so our answer, our left digit is going to be a 3, because we found out that 3 squared, 9, is as close to the 14 but less than as we could get, so we know it's 3. And now we have 3 times 4 equals 12. Is this number greater than or less than? Well, 14 is greater than 12. So if this number is greater than this number, then we're going to use the larger number. So this time we're going to use the 8, because 14 is greater than 12. We're going to use the greater number. So our answer is 38. Check our answer. 38 times 38. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 6 is 30. 8 times 3 is 24. Carry the 2. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So we have 4, 4, 4, 1. 1,444. That's our answer again. So we know that 38 is the square root. The square root of 144 is 38. Okay, one last one. Let's use 8,281. Now again, remember we're only looking at the first number. You might see the 81 and automatically think that it's 9 for our first digit, but we don't know that. So we only want to look at the 1. So we'll look, okay, where do we see an orange 1? Okay, we see it as number 1. So we're going to take number 1, that's one of ours. We look down our list, and the other one is 9. So we'll take 9. So we know that our first digit is either a 1 or a 9. We're going to cross these two out. Then we're going to take 82. what times what is equal to or less than, we know 9 times 9 is 81. So we're going to use 9 because it's less than 82. We're going to multiply 9 times the next digit, which is 10. 8, 9, 10. Multiply them, and we have 90. Now, is 90, is our 82 less than or greater than 90? Well, 82 is less than 90, so we aren't going to use the 9, we're going to use the 1. So our answer is 91. Here's our 9, 91. And if we multiply 91 out, check our answer. 1 times 1 is 1. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 9 is 81. So we have 1, 8, 2, 8. So 8,281, 8,281. So I hope that helps you. So we're trying to find, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find out when we have, use a color that works. When we know this is a square angle, a 90 degree, we know that what this length is. This is 36. This is 9 feet. And we're trying to figure out what this length is. Because this is C. We're trying to figure out what C is, because A squared plus B squared equals C squared. But we're trying to find out what C is. And we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find that out. And this method I just showed you, using this simple numbers right here, having those black and orange colored numbers, using them as a simple way to find out if C happens to be a whole number. This is a simple way to find that out. As I said, next video I'm going to show you how to find the square root of a number when it's not a whole number. And we'll go through that. I hope this helps. Like I said, write this stuff down. Write down the Pythagorean theorem if you don't know it, because it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which means a times a plus b times b equals c squared, but we need to find the square root of c squared. Because when you get a times b plus b times b, you get c squared. And we need to find out what that square root of c is, and using this method for a whole number makes things just a little bit simpler. I hope it helps. Thank you, guys.